What's going on, everyone? Welcome to another edition of the podcast. Hello, how are you today? I'm your host, Mitch Corbett, and we got another great guest this week for you guys. Usually I say that we come out on Mondays, but real life stuff always gets in the way of trying to release a podcast on time, so I am sorry for that. This one's coming to you on a Wednesday, but we have a great guest. His name is Dan Summerhayes. Dan is an awesome guy. He decided this year, or last year, I guess, to go out on his own and create his own business, which is Tales from the Grill, which is a burger pop-up shop in and around London, Ontario. Now, fun fact about Dan is I actually went to college with his brother, Brian, and when my wife and I moved to London, we went to a brewery called Fork River Brewery, and Dan was working there, and he recognized me at first, and then, there was some back and forth, and then he realized that I was friends with Brian, and it's a small world, guys. It really is sometimes. And so we started chatting, and then from Fork River Brewery, he decided to leave and start his own burger joint pop-up called Tales from the Grill, which, I love burgers, and I gotta say, these are some actually phenomenal burgers. And they have a cool little thing where they show old VHS tapes of movies while they're making the burgers, and every burger is actually named after an old story of film from back in the day. So it's a really unique concept, really cool concept, and the burgers are delicious. And I want to get Dan on the podcast to talk about all of that and his decision to kind of venture out on his own and be his own man and do the damn thing. So let's get to the conversation with Mr. Dan Summerhayes. Oh man, how are things going? So did you didn't go to Niagara College, did you? No, that was Brian. I was wondering if you guys went together or something. Nope. The one time I went to a party, the party had the old uh-oh wheel in it downstairs.
Uh-oh wheel. Oh, the from. Okay, for a second I was like, it took me a second there. Uh-oh. Yeah. I don't think I ever saw your. Maybe the day I moved Brian in, I saw his place. I did not see an uh-oh wheel.
No, this is like a party happened second year or something like that. I was like, oh my God, it was the actual wheel from the goddamn show. And I was like, a flood of childhood memories watching this show and the partners getting gooed and everything like that.
Right on, man. I wish I saw that.
I love how if people are watching this and they see your background, they're like, why is there a man choking a woman in the background? But then it's like, oh no, that's the poster for Evil Dead, or a blanket of the Evil Dead.
Yes. Evil Dead blanket.
Yeah, there. I knew exactly what it was.
Good eye.
Thank you. I like that. That series is fantastic. I watched up until the third season of the TV show, and then it kind of lost me a little bit.
Yeah, I think there were there were either 3 or 4 seasons.
Yeah, it started off real good.
I was pretty into it right to the end.
How was the ending?
Huh?
How was the ending?
It's all right. I wish it never ended. I loved that show.
No, but how? I mean, I did see the ending where I think what lost me was that they were dating too much into this I think too many people were turning and stuff. It's, I don't know. Maybe I was on ships.
I don't know. I can't honestly remember if it was a closed ending or an open ending or what, in case it was going to keep going. But
I remember it. They were he ended up being in the future of some sort for some reason.
I'm gonna have to watch it all again. I don't even remember this. Did I see it all? Now I'm wondering if I've seen it all.
Yeah, he wakes up from a crime. He wakes up. He wakes up and he's in the future for some reason.
I'm gonna have to remind. It's been a few years since it ended. I'm gonna have to remind me.
Army of Darkness is to this day one of my favorite movies. I can laugh out loud to that movie consistently.
Yeah, I saw Evil Dead 2 first in of all places. I saw part of it in English class in grade 6. Our teacher showed us a scene from it for something in our English class, and I think it was English, and it was the part in Evil Dead 2 when his hand gets
chopped off,
possessed.
Or it's possessed. Okay, it was probably an acting thing, showing how you can act, but
and I thought it was the most brilliant thing I'd ever seen. And I needed to see more. And I remember I asked him, like, what is this movie? And I went straight to Blockbuster after school, and they only had Army of Darkness,
Oh,
which I was told was the third one. So I rented it, and
technically only the second one.
well,
Evil
sort of.
Dead 2 is like the first like remake of
It's
an
like the
original film,
remake
I
of
think.
the first, which yeah, fair enough. And I remember the Blockbuster guy, I brought it up. I'm a kid, and he just kind of looked at me and he's like, "This is one of the best movies ever made. Good choice." And I was like, so grinny. I'm like, "God damn right, I'm onto something here." And then I don't know how I saw one and the rest of two, but I went straight there. So technically, I saw all of Army of Darkness before I saw the predecessors.
So you mentioned how there was the hand scene, right? I've been listening a lot to Freddie Prinze Jr.'s wrestling podcast and how he was doing acting classes for the wrestlers and everything. And he
Mhm.
always brought up the one scene from Liar Liar with Jim Carrey, where he was trying to write the pen is blue,
Blue.
and he's like, that was a masterclass in acting, because you see him like acting with his hand, then acting with his visual, his face, and it's like, and I had to go back and watch the scene on YouTube. I'm like, oh fuck, it is pretty fantastic how he's able to incorporate the two elements there.
Oh yeah, it's genius. The again, another movie I haven't seen in forever, but yeah, it was yeah, it's very similar, I guess. Like that, there's something about being able to operate your hand as if it's a separate part of your body, as if it's
Right?
a separate character. And yeah, the pen is blue bit. That's
Because usually as a man, our brains are in only two places. So it's weird to be able to put the brain in another place.
yeah, yeah. I need to see Liar Liar again.
All right. So I think this is a probably good jumping off point to get into it. Dan Summerhayes, thank you for being on the podcast. Hello, how are you today? Your business is Tales from the Grill. Which I think this is a perfect jumping off point, because like we were talking about Army of Darkness, Evil Dead, and your logo is very artsy in terms of like old filmatic sort of thing, and you're always showing old VHSs while you're making your burgers and everything. So where does this love of old school film and VHS come from?
Where does that love come from? I spent a lot of time as a kid watching movies. I didn't have a lot of friends. I just watched movies all the time. And I still watch movies a lot. I have a few more friends. I have kids who I
I
can
have
watch
a
movies with.
fiance, so she counts as
Yeah.
one.
But I don't know. I've just always my parents taped everything off television for me, and I had a big collection of movies recorded off city TV. And then
Including the
once
Red
I
Shoe
got,
Diaries
yeah,
at midnight, say TV after 12 o'clock.
they don't know those ones. And then, once I was able to start, my first job and made money, all of my money went towards movies too. And I've just always been into movies, and so naturally, it's just something that became part of what I'm always trying to figure out how to involve what I love outside of work into my work.
Okay. But like, so movies seem to have influenced you quite a bit. Like, how have they influenced you in your like your everyday life? Not outside of like, the burger joint. Like, is that how you socialize with people? Because I know for a period of time I was just like, the only way I could socialize people would be from quoting films or TV shows sort of thing.
Yeah, I'd say that. Yeah, it's always kind of been me. I'm a movie quoter. So is all my brothers are all movie quoters and movie watchers. And I don't like sports. I don't watch sports. Most people my whole life want to talk about sports. I see you like sports.
Hey,
I don't know sports. Yeah.
So like, I'm one of those weird guys who like, I like a little bit of everything, like television, film, sports, anime, wrestling,
Mhm.
art, theater. Like I'm interested in everything and anything really. Like if you like, I'm always up for like watching something new just to see if it's gonna pique my interest or anything.
That's fair enough. I'm the same way with TV and music, especially music. I don't have a favorite genre or band. Like I'm all over the place with music. But sports are just uh never it's never one of the things I've been into, and it's the one thing I can't converse with anybody about. And I think most people, I feel like growing up, most of the time I'd be out with people, they'd talk sports, and I'd be the guy talking movies and quoting The Evil Dead, and people sitting around looking at me like they don't know what I'm talking about.
Well, in that case, I think sports are like one of those things where like it's so relevant because it's happening in the here and now sort of thing. So it's like a very relevant conversation that you can have, like cooler talk sort of thing, right? Oh, what did you see in the game yesterday? Whereas not everyone's gonna go and see, a movie every day or every weekend sort of thing. Unlike,
See, that's why my cooler talk was going to the video store and talking to the people who work there and irritating them. And that's where I'd find my cooler talk was
it's fascinating to me that like I was such a big fan of movies and film. I actually call them films. I don't call them movies. That's how weird I am. Like I applied multiple times to the film store that was in Welland where I went to college, and they never hired me. I was like, I on my resume it says currently in school for film and television. Can you please give me a job so I can watch movies all day?
same. I could never get a job. I could never get a job um, until, geez, long after I'd already gone to college. I moved out to London to go to college. I lived in London for a few years. I went back to Woodstock and lived with my parents for a little while in between there. And I managed to get a video store job while I was living with my parents again after college. But before that, I must have applied to Blockbuster Video a dozen times. And I knew movies and I knew it all. And I always felt like, just interview me. You're gonna see that I know, because that's what I really wanted to do. Like when I was a kid, well, into my 20s until video stores died, all I actually really wanted to do was just work in a video store, like manage a video store the rest of my life and just talk about movies. Um, which would make sense why now I'm trying something, burgers. Now I'm trying something that there's a business in, and it's like, how do I bring movies into that so I can talk movies with people? And it actually works. I put on movies on the VA on the VCR, and
Yeah,
people start talking to me like a video store again.
I think your setup is so like it's so fresh. Like it's not so like it's fresh and it's new, but it's using all old equipment. You got the big smallish big tube television, you got the VCR plugged in, you got a line of VHSs ready to play. Your burgers are all like movie centric titles for the burgers. It's really cool. I really, really enjoy it.
I've had really good feedback. People seem to like the
Nostalgia.
vibe we've got going, the nostalgia and the vibe, and just like that was kind of when I making burgers was never the main idea. Honestly, the thing that made me kind of fall in love with the idea of just opening a little burger thing was the movie part of it. I started putting together these the names for the burgers, and I was like, I'm telling my fiance now, yeah.
Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you. That I'm bringing, I'm lugging this TV with me back and forth and the VCR. We're going to be doing that. I don't care if we got to take 2 trips to get everything there, because that was 50% of it. Like without it, I'm just making hamburgers, but part of it is that's a major part of it. I there's nothing without that. It's too fun.
So I want to talk a little bit more. I want to get into the burger talk and everything too, but I want to talk a little bit more about more film because, as you mentioned, you used to hang out at the video store to kind of always like chat with you. What is like the oddest best film that a retail clerk at a video store has recommended you?
Oh, geez. The weirdest film that
Weirdest best film, not weirdest as in weird, but like the best like out there outlandish film.
I mean, besides where we were talking about Army of Dark, I mean, I went in there to find any Evil Dead movie I could when I hadn't seen Army of Darkness, and that's definitely probably the weirdest. But I mean, from there, talking horror and stuff, probably Dead Alive shortly after that, because then have you seen Dead Alive? It's also
Is
called Brain Dead
is that
by
the one
Peter
where like
Jackson.
is that one the one that where they crash so they get the afterlife and then come back to life sort of thing?
No, it's sort of Evil Dead. Like
Okay.
it's by Peter Jackson. It's from New Zealand. And but it takes place in a house and there's zombies the same kind of way. God, I don't know how to explain Dead Alive besides it, because it always gets related to that Evil Dead comedy horror kind of thing. It's very similar, different story, but it's like not out in the woods. But I think it was born out of that. I always saw the VHS cover sitting, and it's like this it's this woman and she's like stretching her mouth open and there's like a skull peeking out of the mouth, and I never really I'd pick it up and from what I remember, I was picking it up one day while I'm chatting and they're like, have you seen that? And we're always talking horror, and they're said like it's not really horror, like it's horror but it's not scary, it's Evil Dead comical, and it's now talking about it I'm like, oh, I need to watch that again. I haven't seen it in a while. But
So like do you feel like with like I feel we're on the same page here in terms of like I miss those days where like you could see the cover of a film, be like, I know nothing about this movie, but just based on the box alone, I'm gonna give this a shot. Because I've done that with so many films in my life. And more often than not a bad way to go about picking movies.
I'm gonna 1 second. I'm gonna grab two here. There's a couple here I picked specifically for the covers. Here we go. So we got Troll 2.
Okay.
You ever seen Troll or Troll 2?
I know of this series and I've seen clips. It looks very over the top and ridiculous.
Troll 2 has nothing to do with Troll. I was won over completely by the cover art. I remember I just saw it I was with my dad at the video store. And I think actually what got me was the kid on the cover. I had the exact same pajamas. And I was like, I need to see this. This kid's not in the movie. The pajamas aren't in the movie. Trolls aren't actually in the movie. Goblins are. But that's one. And I remember it's that same Blockbuster, Death Machine.
And, I know. I recognize those covers though, but I was never a horror fan growing up, so I don't know any of these.
This, I mean, I think it was kind of trying to ape off A Nightmare on Elm Street with I mean, there is a thing in the movie with this kind of claw, but I had no idea what it was about. It just looked like Freddy Krueger claws. And that was just a cover I must have seen 100 times until I was finally old enough to rent it.
Like, so you seem to be like more of a horror genre fan of is that true?
Yes, to a degree. I like all movies and films. I like anything, especially anything from I'll watch anything from the 90s from my childhood over and over again, right? Because
I'm wondering, like, have you ever tried that Shudder streaming service?
Oh yeah, I have Shudder.
Yeah, my wife tried it, and like some of the films that she was watching, I was like, what is this that's on your TV right now?
Yeah, they've got some, especially the stuff that they produce just for the channel. I don't know, I'll use it mostly to watch old things, or I'll watch things I wouldn't normally watch while watching Joe Bob Briggs talk about it. But I don't know, some of the I'm not like, I've never been about gore so
Yeah.
much. Like
Yeah.
I'm not all about things like Saw. Like I can appreciate the first Saw for what
Yeah.
it is, but the rest as you go on, it's just about how bloody, and I don't find that entertaining. And I find most of the thing, maybe not most things, but a lot of the stuff on Shudder, I don't know. It's got to have a good. There's one thing. I think they're promoting it on Shudder right now. It's a horror movie called The Invitation. It's one of my favorite horror. You'd probably call it a horror film, and it's very psychological. It's a very slow burn. It's not just blood and guts.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's a bit of a turn. Like I'm glad they're kind of highlighting stuff like that a little more. Yeah, I like Shudder.
So like I'm not a huge fan of horror because like I am very much a pussy and don't like being scared. Like I remember watching the very first Blair Witch and being terrified because I always had to walk through the woods to get to my high school. And then as soon as that movie started out, guess what people started making and putting in the friggin' trees? I was like, you motherfuckers, like how are you doing this to me?
I vaguely recall that. I vaguely recall seeing that stuff more often out and about.
Yeah.
After that movie.
But like I love comedy. Obviously, you know me as a comedian and producer. But I love when the horror comedy genre is mixed together. Like one of my favorite movies is Tucker and Dale versus Evil. I think that is a classic movie.
Brilliant.
That's so funny. And there's one that's come out recently that I think it might have been a Shudder exclusive, but I haven't watched it. But like it's about this purple alien warlord guy and the
Psycho Gorman.
That's the one.
I just watched that a couple weeks ago. I knew nothing about it, and I kept seeing it so popular, and I don't know. I had no idea what the premise was, and I ignored it for a long time until Chronicle Brewing, I think they're in Markham or something, made a 3 beers based on Psycho Gorman and did up this
seriously
fancy glass.
Oh my god. Yeah. I gotta go Markham.
And I was like, I think I have to, now it's showing up in my beer, I think I have to see what this is about. And I watched it, and it's great.
It's really awesome. I gotta watch it.
Funny. And yes, so that is one you need to get on, man.
My wife and I have a couples date night planned for next weekend, so maybe I'll pop that on and we can watch that one. I think that's probably a good date movie.
Great. It's great. I did not expect it to be it's good. If you like comedy horror, now I want to watch it again. Every time I talk movies, I gotta watch that again.
No, I'm the same way. I mean, like I like going back and watching the classic stuff because like it's so, like we're in 2022 now in terms of film and television, and like just how it's evolved. Like if there could be like, I would love like Spielberg or Scorsese did like a timeline movie watch sort of thing, like picking a movie from each decade, like, and they slowly watch how it evolves and change. I think that'd be sweet.
Yeah, man.
I'd go to the theater to watch that film experience.
Yeah, man. And it's not just, like you said earlier, I think I have the most love for horror, but I love, like I'll pick up any comedy too. Same with TV. You're talking about TV. I just do a lot of watching. Just before we got on here, I was watching for like the 6th time. Have you seen on Netflix, I Think You Should Leave? No, you're a comedian? I Think You Should Leave.
No, I know it. Is that a special or a TV show?
It's a TV show. There's 2 seasons, and it's like 6 episodes per season. And it's like absurdist.
The sketch show with the guy. Yes, okay, yes, I have seen it. Yes.
And now I've got Auntie Donna's Big Old House of Fun. Those guys are great.
See, I've seen that one. I watched Auntie Donna's because it was so over the top and so ridiculous. I laughed my ass off during that one. Yeah, I Think You Should Leave. Yes, I think I'm halfway through the 2nd season, and then life just got too busy, and I haven't actually got back up with it.
Fair enough, man.
Now, the reason I want to have you on this podcast is because like you've done something that's so ballsy and insane is that you've created your own business after and just like after, I knew you were working at Fork River Brewery, and then all of a sudden you were gone, and I was asking where's Dan. And it's like, oh, he went and started his own burger joint. I'm like, what? And I thought he was more of a beer guy than a burger guy, but I was like, it's so cool that you're actually doing it and you're having fun and being successful with it. So how did that mind shift change from, instead of like being the employee, you want to be the owner slash employee slash CEO slash
Well,
president slash workhorse sort of thing?
I'll try to condense as much as I can. I worked in the same career for 10 years in loss prevention, retail loss prevention. I had maybe 4 or 5 years in there that I really liked. It was the longest job I've ever held. I made good money, and by the time I left, I hated it. I hated it. And I left specifically to go find something for myself to do. I really got I think for a long time I've wanted to do something, try to be self-propelled and
Self-employed.
find something self-employed and just be able to make money myself a bit. And so it began like 3 years ago when I left loss prevention, and I went to school for a little bit for graphic design, because in my spare time I like that, drawing and designing, and I do the design for my own for the burger thing now.
Oh, you did it
uh,
yourself?
yeah.
Oh, dope.
And so I was in school after that for a bit, and uh and I apply. We always drink beer. We're always out, and I went. It was at Forked River one day, and the former manager there said something about that. She's the only one there. They're trying to find somebody else. And I'm like, I'll work here. And she called me a couple days later, and then I interviewed. Then I was hired there. So it was never meant to be like forever. I like beer, and I liked working there, and it was a job where everybody's happy because nobody's unhappy when they're out drinking beers. But I always intended to leave at some point. So during that, I had started another little small business, printing T-shirts, printing clothing. I did some shirts for Odyssey Records, for the hot sauce company. I've designed some of my own and sell them online, but I just wasn't making much money doing it. I kind of started right at the beginning of COVID, and there were less and less people who needed merch and shirts and people to buy shirts from me. So I saw a lot of people coming and going at Forked River. I got to know a lot of the food people, seeing what they're doing, getting to talk to them about how they do it. And kind of the key person there was Kyle from Kyle's Fried Chicken, who I just kind of started picking the brain of, because I was just starting to think I could do that. That would be fun. And so then I started working the gears on like what even that would be. And then that's where I was starting to go like, well, if I married that idea with my love of movies, I could have kind of a cool little thing going on there and try that. We ran the numbers. My fiance ran the numbers rather, because she's good at that stuff. And I worked on a couple dozen different types of burgers until I was cool with the menu and gave them the names. And so it was more or less the next thing to try to self-employ myself. I liked my time at the brewery and whatnot, but with COVID and everything, it was just less and less hours, and it just felt like an opportune moment to just kind of go for it. Thought I had a good idea.
And so like you taking the leap, and like your first station was at Fork River, correct?
Yeah.
And so like, I mean, it can't be understated how important it is to like be, your experience as a bartender has helped you, because like I feel like you've made those connections. Then now you're in this location and this location and this location, and I'm is that a lot of like interaction with people from the bar?
Yeah, I mean, I think I decided I could do the food thing because I liked and was good at, I think, customer, like the service job at the bar. I think people like me, and it's fun serving people, and they're just out having a good time and having beers with friends or family. So I knew it was just going to be more of that. It was just going to be my own product. And yeah, my first couple setups were at Forked River because it was kind of comfortable for one thing, because I already knew the place, and so I appreciated them kind of letting me set up first as kind of a little trial run. And then Kyle kind of hooked me up at London Brewing and Stormstade Brewing because he knew them pretty well, and away we went. And I think the first time at one of the other breweries, it's mostly just I'm a bit of a, it's my business now, and I think I just if anything, I was just worried that I don't want to let anyone down. Like I wanted to do good, with my own.
Mom and dad are in Woodstock, like, oh God, he's in his 30s and he's starting his own business and he just got engaged. Like, our baby boy, what's happening?
Yeah, well, they're used to it. They're used to me hopping from thing to thing. It's kind of just like, what's next now? What's so now it's this, and but they've been very supportive and all that.
Do they like your burgers?
Oh yeah, they do. I get real. I mean, I don't have a culinary background. I just thought I made good food, and she might be biased, but my fiance thinks I make good food, and she was my burger tester for a while, and
yeah, that's right. Fatten her up so she can't leave.
What's that?
Fatten her up so she can't leave.
Yeah,
that's what I've done.
And she's a runner. She runs it all back off. And I've gotten such good feedback about, like, I'm kind of, I don't know, I'm kind of surprised by how much some people seem to like the burgers. Like they really like them.
Well, I think that might have to do something with the place that you're in, because you're in London, right? And London was home to Relish Burgers. I'm sure you know about that place, right?
I don't. Relish Burgers.
You never went to Relish? Oh.
No, man. I haven't.
Okay. Do yourself a favor and look at their menu and see if you can steal anything from it.
Oh yeah, oh,
okay. Well, they're not in business anymore, so that's the owner took off and it was never to be seen again. But they had some classic. They were on that HGTV show, You Gotta Eat Here, with the comedian dude.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they were very like hole in the wall kind of burger place, and I think that's what you're kind of filling that void. Because like, I mean, there's some burger spots in here, but like there's Burger Priest and Works, but like those are all chains. There's no like heart and soul behind those, entities. Whereas like when everyone walks up and sees your setup with the VHS tapes and the TV and like the homemade grill and everything, I feel there's like a real like DIY feel to it that people really appreciate and want to help out and support.
Yeah, I think one of the ones that stood out to me in London was Prince Al's, who recently closed. You know Prince Albert's, right?
Well, I just moved to London, so I haven't been able to see it. Oh, Prince Albert's, yes, on
right on Richmond Street there downtown. Yes. I think they were open like a couple decades, but they actually just closed. And they were
by choice. They closed by choice, though.
They closed by choice, though. Yes, they were made that very clear. But when it came to food pop-ups specifically, yeah, that was one of the deciding factors, because there aren't any burger ones. The whole time I was working at Fort River, all the pop-up food people we had come and go, there were never hamburgers. There were a lot of tacos and sandwiches and chicken, and so it felt like there was kind of a void there that I can sneak into, and work it.
Go ahead.
No, I was just saying, yeah, no, I think I was right. Like, people seem to have responded and said said when they're showing up at these places, like, oh wow, burgers, I don't see those. Like, they don't see them in this kind of a way, and
so like, but all right, so you mentioned how like you saw tacos, you saw chicken being cooked there. What is it about a burger that you enjoy so much that you decided that was what you want to do? Because you could have chosen any kind of food thing. You could have done fish.
Yeah, I think one of the main things is, I don't know why. I originally just kind of gravitated there because I like making them and I get experimental with them in my own time. But also, there's so many different ways you can do them, and I had so many different ideas with the movie theme for the names and the toppings. Like, I don't just name them after like, I was thinking of like references to movies, and I was like, how could I turn that into a burger? Just through the toppings, where it looks like it's for that movie. There's just so many ways you can, like, not to knock other, I don't know, it's just there's so many different kind of burgers. Like, it could be never ending. Like, I have a menu of 6 right now, plus a couple others that are just kind of specials, back and forth. But I have a laundry list of more that I'm trying and would like to try. Like, if I had a full menu of all the movie references I've come up with and the toppings and the types of burgers, I have like 30 burgers, like, and it seems like something where I can always be.
Well, is that kind of one of the reasons why you chose it? Because like you mentioned before, how like you've always kind of hopped around from job to job or item to item. Does that creativity and that fluidity of having, be able to create different elements of the same thing keep you engaged with the business that you're doing right now?
Yes. Like I said, I think if I wasn't kind of mixing my love of movies and culture and the 90s and retro stuff, I'd just be flipping burgers. And I don't want to just flip burgers. I love, though, the tying of the two together. Like, especially, I started right when it was starting to kind of get cold, in the middle of COVID, but I wanted to get started now so I can kind of have a jumping off point here. But I would love, come the spring and summer, to maybe host, do some public setups, not just at breweries and stuff, and host some movie nights in the park, put up a screen, and like
That's a good idea. That's a real good idea.
Have a couple other pop-ups come out, and create some of our own. It's nice going to breweries, and they got music and they got comedy nights, they got things, but I'd love to become someone who's hosting those things, and having those themed, have a night where we're gonna host a movie in the park and I got a burger named after it, and it's like a whole thing. That's kind of the dream, maybe come this summer.
Do you want to keep it as like a pop-up, or is like that's one dream, or is there a greater goal of like having a spot where you can just have everything set up and have the projector running old movies and do things from a singular location? Or do you like the ability to hop around because new experiences, new events?
I think I like the idea of maybe the grandest scheme for it would be conversion to like a truck. But having one location I wouldn't be in love with for that reason. I like it's a lot of work lugging all that stuff from
That's how
location
you
to
stay skinny,
location.
right? Because you're eating all your own products. So I
Yeah.
imagine that's why you chose the big
Yep.
TV and everything.
I eat so many hamburgers now. But I like that the scenery changes, and being able to go different places kind of opens up that being able to, not just maybe hosting our own things, but being able to take part in other people's things elsewhere. And it feels a little more communitized instead of just having your own spot where people either come to, or you're not really connected to anything else in town. I mean, there are ways to do it, but I do like the idea of me choosing almost like on a weekly basis, okay, where are we going today, and what are we going to do? And it's been very nice getting the lay of it with going to breweries. But I have, just like the list of burgers, I have a list of things I'd love to try to do with this. But it's all, again, if I was just flipping burgers, okay, I'm making burgers wherever, but it's actually, I feel like this whole thing is 75% about the rest of it, about the movie culture, and trying to figure out ways to bring people out to enjoy.
So let's talk about that then, because I mean, you mentioned that like you were thinking by names of burgers before you made the burgers.
Yeah.
So like, how does that work exactly? Like, how do you find that perfect burger fit for that name? Like, how much experimenting did you do? How much weight did you gain? Like, what's the story?
A fair bit. Yeah, like, for instance, like quickest, most.
And by saying weight gain, you look great. I'm just saying, like, if you're tasting your own product, and it's a burger with a bun and like you're going to gain weight. Plus, the gyms are closed. So I mean,
yes, they are. Yeah. The easiest example I give was like, I don't have it yet. I've been playing with it. It's not done, but I was like, okay, what would be on a burger referencing Jaws? Jaws, water, fish, shrimp burger. And then I'd kind of go from there, and I'm like, okay, what goes good on a shrimp burger? What goes, or should I make it like a salmon burger with like a salmon patty? Or, but it's got to be kind of water themed. I start just kind of thinking like, how do you make a burger that's a Jaws burger that you see it's named after Jaws and stuff? Like, of course it's that. Even the peanut butter and bacon burger, that started with the mushrooms, the enoki mushrooms I put on it.
Okay.
Because that one is named after a comedy horror movie called Night of the Creeps, about alien worms that crawl in through your mouth and go into your brain, and you become a zombie.
Hmm.
And I was like, what do you put on a burger that would kind of almost feel, you got a mouthfeel of like worminess? And enoki mushrooms are these long little, like, wormy looking mushrooms. And it sounds, me describing this to you right now, you're like, oh great, next time I eat this, all I'm going to be able to think of it is worms while I'm eating this. But that's where it started, and I just kind of kept playing with, from there, what goes good with that, where does it go from here? But it always started with the movie, because that's just where
So like, you're very inspired by films and everything. Like, is it difficult to watch a movie with you? Because like, you're like, babe, I gotta stop, or I gotta stop because I have an idea for a burger. You have to write it down.
No, I stay quiet. I just pull out my phone and make a note if I think of something where, ooh, I could work this in somehow. Yeah, but it happens all the time. Yeah.
Oh man, I mean, I could probably rattle off a bunch of ideas for you, but like, that's not my place to do so, because there are so many genre films, there's so many movies, there's so many different genres. Yeah.
It's not even just, see, that's right now, it's manageable. Burgers are manageable in a pop-up setting. We don't do sides because it's just too much. And the burgers are really big, and most people say I don't even need a side. But with some leftover meat, I'm like rolling it into meatballs. I'm like, oh my God, maybe I could do meatballs too. And I could name that, because the first thing I thought when I looked at it, I thought of Gremlins, or the little mogwais when they friggin' pop out. They look like these little balls, and I'm like, oh, I could friggin' call them mogwais. That's like mogwai meatballs. And I'm constantly just reminded of movies and thinking of sides, and like I could probably fill a restaurant, but so far all I'm really good at making is burgers.
So like with like you mentioned, like you like cooking, you like creating, like what is the art of making the perfect burger in your opinion? Because I love cooking, I love making I actually love making burgers from scratch. And for the longest time I would and I don't know why I did this, but I would add an egg and breadcrumbs in my burger. And I was like, and then I watched like a cooking show on YouTube, and they weren't doing any of that. They were just flattening the meat together. I'm like, and I did it. I was like, oh, I've been doing it wrong the entire time. It was so embarrassing.
Yeah, no, I make my own, have my, without saying what the recipe is on my.
No, I mean like the art of it. I'm talking
beef.
about like not the actual, but like the art of making the burger. Like how, like it seems to be like very therapeutic for you, if that's correct. Like why do you find it so fun?
Well, that's what I was gonna say, is that part is like the least the beef part is the least interesting part of me. Part of it for me. It's when I start topping it with different things and kind of putting together, like I had a lot of failures before I realized what goes best together, and I obviously came up with the menu. But for me, burgers for me were always more about, I know some people, they'll eat a burger, whatever it is, whatever's on it, and the first thing they kind of taste is the beef. And a lot of people I've served, it comes up more than I thought, where they ask about the beef and talking about the beef.
Where's the beef?
But for me,
that's another classic retro reference that you could use.
Like a poster. But for me, whenever I tried, like I was always more about the toppings and everything together, how it all kind of comes together. And so that's kind of that. I feel like that's what I have the most fun with, is like the first time, for the first while, I literally just went to the grocery store and I got all kinds of stuff without really knowing what I was going to do yet. And just kind of tried things that I thought might, and that was where the fun came. I'm a kind of a perfectionist. I like to do, even though Kristen could dress the burgers, I like to dress the burgers after I cook them for everybody, and the onions are on there perfectly. And I've never, like, I'm that way when I make food for myself at home. And it's been interesting to, like, without just gabbing on and on here, I go back to, I've worked at Subway twice. And at the time when I worked at Subway, I looked at this as a bad thing, but I get complimented all the time on how well I make the sandwiches. They're all, I evenly put all the meat on there. I put the right, like, how sometimes you get a sandwich and they go to put the lettuce on, and you got these empty areas on each end where there's no lettuce because they're just kind of throwing everything on. But I'd get complimented a lot, especially when I worked at the downtown. There was one downtown on Wellington. I'd serve a lot of people, drunk people from the bars at 1 a.m. And they at the time I was like, great, so I'm good at making sandwiches, like amazing, I've won at life. But now that I'm doing this for myself with the burgers, I'm actually realizing I'm like, I'm good at this. I'm careful and I like this. Like it's perfect. Send it out. That's where I find the therapy.
So, and like you obviously get to taste your own product before it goes out. Um, and you're probably a little bit biased, obviously. But like, what's been your biggest aha moment that you've had personally while taste testing your own burger, and aha moment that a customer's had while eating one of your burgers?
I think maybe my most, if I had to say there's like an aha moment. It's just when I had my full menu all set up, and I think one of the I was a bit I don't know. I think I was doubting my ability to make even more than two burgers well, where there would be something that somebody would enjoy all over. Like, because I kind of wanted at least five on the menu. Some people are telling me that's too many. um, but when I specifically made there's a Goonies burger, and I make this apple pecan butter, and I've never put that on a hamburger before. You taste it by itself and it's just so sweet, like jam or something. But I made this burger like completely normal, like the way but I slathered it in this apple butter, and I thought it tasted so good. And I'd never had a burger like that before with that kind of thing on it. And I was like, I know what I'm doing. I think I know what I'm doing. Like, you know what I mean? Like apple butter. Like I've never heard of that. It's one of the better sellers too. That one and the pineapple bacon burger. But I've had a pineapple burger before.
The
But the
pineapple
apple
bacon one
burger,
is my favorite.
yeah, man. And I'm surprised at how well, because both of those are very sweet burgers. But people like sweet on burgers. And
Yeah.
but the apple butter, I think that's the one where when I'm tasting it's like, this is a good burger. And I think that was the one of the burgers where I was like, I got this, keep going. When a customer,
Well, I
you
mean,
know,
let's simplify it. Like your first day at Fork River, did you guys end up selling out your like what was like the first time you sold out burgers? Like how did you guys celebrate?
uh our best night, we when we the first night we sold out, we were not necessarily expecting it, but again, like I was saying, Kyle of Kyle's Fried Chicken kind of gave us a couple pointers, like when we go there, bring this many. And up to that point, we'd only had okay nights, and I wasn't sure how that, like it was. I think we did the Fork River ones. I think we'd done maybe like 4 setups, and then I was, I'm a new business, so I'm off to a slow, like I have trouble not
You're overthinking it is what you're doing.
overthinking it. We just began here. So we had a hell of a night, and we had a lineup of 20 people as soon as we got there, as soon as we're set up. And we hadn't had a lineup before. It wasn't even necessarily that they were there for us. It was just like, ooh, this is a good spot. And making them so quick in succession, and getting such, I think that, did we celebrate? I don't even know if we celebrated. We got in the car that night,
And you
feeling
went to
like
watch the movie.
this is this is real. Like we had such a good night and we sold out, and I got nothing I have to put away when we get home, because we're out of food. And it was just like, it was such a good feeling of like, we're not we're we got this. We're figuring this out. Like, and now it's been a few months, and we've had a few more nights like that. I'm kind of you, but that was, I think, one of the nights when a customer, it was one of the owners at London Brewing, super nice dude. He just loves us. And I love, he's so into what we're doing that every time we're there, he walks on over and he's so excited that we're here. And he'll say, like, he's grabbed multiple business cards and he's just always so gung-ho. He's like, oh my God, guys, I love your vibe so much. Like, oh, I wish you guys could be here all the time. And he's so happy and it makes us feel so good. And I think if there is an aha moment with a customer, it's him, because it's just like, I didn't think anybody I don't know, would be so happy that we're there. And it feels like something like, this is my own, this is my thing, and I'm doing something that's making somebody besides me feel like this is like, keep going, this is great, we love you. And it's nice when you kind of are doing your own thing and you get that kind of feedback.
Yeah,
And
that positive reinforcement that what you're doing is the correct and right thing.
yes, that's exactly how I, like, he walks away and I kind of feel like I'm doing the right, like,
Dad's proud of me, yay.
Yeah, man.
Like it's yeah, no, it's like I've had the same thing happen to me when I've done like renewal vows videos while I worked on cruise ships. And like, I made people cry, like legit, like tears of joy streaming down their faces. And it was such a weird thing, because like what I made was so, it touched them on such an emotional level. But then it made me realize, like, oh yeah, no, I'm good at my job. I'm actually quite good at my job.
And there's
it's a very rewarding feeling to have in yourself, I imagine.
It is, especially when you're doing something on your, like, it's not the kind of thing where you have a boss breathing down your neck to tell you how. I think that was one of the biggest, as much as I liked working for a brewery and like, it was always somebody else's, and they have their own way of wanting to express their brand, what they do. And I could never block out my own ideas for, like, if I had a brand, if I had something, how would I express that? How would I want that to be? And so it's great
it's so
feeling.
fun that you're going to be able to continue to do that with like different burgers, different locations. You could probably probably make t-shirts, and like, there's so many opportunities that you can do to like do all the things that you like doing, but do it for yourself.
Yeah. I actually have.
I think you might have a t-shirt.
Yeah, it's a hoodie. I got like a
I think it's so dope.
Yeah,
what is that? Tales from the Crypt Keeper?
With commissioned I commissioned a guy to do up the Crypt Keeper, essentially.
Tales from the Grill, the Crypt Keeper's face with beer and a Ninja Turtle and
a hamburger, a VHS, a Ninja Turtle, and a beer. And I just ordered one. It's a sample because I wanted to see how it would come together. But I'm already on that. I'm already thinking, because I'm like, I want to start wearing my own thing to the setups. But that's such an that's probably one of my favorite parts, is when it's your own thing that that's making people happy. Even if it's just like, until I had the idea to do this months before I started, if you told me a year ago that I was gonna open a hamburger pop-up restaurant, but that's, I don't know, I guess that's the nature of me too. Like, I never know what I'm gonna do from point to point. I never really have. I always just
fly by the seat of your own pants sort of thing.
Yeah. Besides that 8-9 years in security, but I mean, even that was kind of against, that was a job that I got when I was expecting my first daughter, and I was like, I need to buckle down, get myself a job. I got kids to take care of now, and now they're getting older. Now I have two, and now they're getting older, getting a little more. I've gotten used to that, and it's like, okay, how do and I don't really need to just do something to live now. Like I continued to try to
But also, like
struggle with
you also think consider like your kids, and I think a lot of people are finally realizing this is like you don't want your kids to grow up seeing you be miserable, because then they'll think that that's normal and that's what they should do when they're older. Like it's better to go out on your own and like struggle, be positive, be happy, but do something that you love. So they're like, oh no, if dad can do it, I can do it. And if they find their own thing.
Exactly. I had no love for that kind of work. And if I were still doing that now, I'd have no real stories to tell them. Or
you'd
they'd
still have
no
no
real,
hair, but yeah.
It would just be my job.
Yeah.
They haven't, like, with this, I want my 10-year-old probably this summer to start coming with, and maybe she can run the point of sale a little bit and help her dad.
Yeah, cuteness always helps sales, for sure.
Yeah, heck yeah.
And get the kids get in the kitchen with you and make a kids burger.
Yeah, man. Working with my kid a little bit could happen this summer. Like it's so much more fun, and it's kind of, at the end of the day, it's like one of those things where it's like, well, I'm not just making hamburgers. Like it's we're still very small, and I just started in what, like August?
Yeah, July, like less than August? 6 months, maybe.
Yeah, so I'm still very new to it, and a lot of people still don't even know who we are. But I've had enough setups now, and I've had enough feedback from people and nights of people gushing over the burgers where I know that I'm on to something that's going to be fun, and that there's a lot of ways to expand on, and that my kids also can take part in too. And yes, like you were saying, be kind of proud of, like, dad has his own business. Dad's not just making a paycheck. Like, it's a very fun idea to think that this might be it, especially because I'm 37 and I've had this might be it ideas since I was like 17, thinking like, what? Oh, I could do that. And so
it's never too late, folks. It's never too late.
Yeah, no, that's so true. When I first brought this up to my fiance, we were just in the car, and I kind of brought it out of left field, and I explained to her what I was thinking. I explained the burgers. I explained the retro thing with bringing the VCR, blah, blah, blah. And not that she's not supportive about everything. She is so supportive about everything with me all the time. I love her. But she was, she was actually like, it was surprising how much she was like, this is a really good idea. I really like this. I kind of want in on it. Like, I was not I thought even she might be kind of like, okay, well, this is what's next. But she was just like, let's do that. And so right from the start, I kind of had that reinforcement, like, this is cool, go for it. And I think I've had enough of that up to this point to really have a lot more confidence in it than I did then, where it's just like, okay, like, obviously COVID's still a thing. All my gigs got canceled for like 2 months. It sucks.
Take it from your house.
Yeah, but the weather will turn again, and things will get better again. And I got so many ideas and plans for the spring. Like, I'm really looking forward to just like now kicking it into gear.
Oh man, it's so there. I can physically and like, well, I can physically see a change in your demeanor from when you worked at the brewery to what you're doing now. So I'm so proud of you. I'm so happy for you and all your success, everything. We're going to wrap this up. Where can people find you on Instagram, Twitter, that sort of thing? Where can people find you to look out for future dates and locations?
I am just on Instagram at Tales from the Grill. It's the only social media I like. So
because the burgers look so pretty in photographs.
Right? I'm a photographic guy. I got to take pictures of my tapes and all my setups. And so at Tales from the Grill on Instagram. All
right, perfect. Dan, thank you so much for being a guest on the podcast.
Thanks, buddy. Good to see you. Hope you're doing well.
Yes, hopefully next time it can be in person while I'm enjoying one of your delicious beers.
Yeah.
Hey, you know what? Next time you're doing a pop-up, I'll bring you something that I make food-wise. Give you a little treat from myself.
Oh, yeah,
I do. You're not the only one that has some little intricate. No, what's the word I'm looking for? Like I got some stuff. I can do some weird things.
Give me stuff.
I will.
All right, man. Have a great night.
Cheers. I hope you guys enjoyed the conversation with Dan. Like I said, cool dude. I mean, we talked a lot about, the idea of like why and how he went on his own to make Tales from the Grill, but also a lot of film talk, which I am always preferential to because I love movies. I should probably just start doing movie reviews on here, to be honest. But that'd be stealing a lot of other people's gimmicks, and I'm not one to do that. If you want to reach out to Dan and check out all the stuff that he's doing in London with the burgers and what he's showing on the TV screen while he's doing his pop-up, check out at Tales from the Grill on Instagram. That's it. That's his only social media handle there is Tales from the Grill. So until next week, I'll see you guys down the line. Cheers.